Donald Trump has never had trouble getting people to donate money to him, but that doesn't mean that he won't deploy a special perk or two to try to sweeten the deal. But is there actually anything to these membership clubs or lists of donor names or all of that stuff? Well, let's dive into it and try to see if we can figure it out. We're lucky enough to be joined once again by the deputy editor of Insider, Dave Leventhal. Welcome to the show.
Great to be back, thank you.
Great to have you here. So you did a write-up on, like I had been familiar with this topic, but the sheer number of different ways that Trump's fundraising team tries to draw people in is truly astounding. For people who might be lucky enough to have never received one of these emails or text messages, what are some of the things that we're talking about here?
Yeah, really, it's about 24 different ways to give you nothing for something. In other words, your money, your donation as a donor, a supporter of Donald Trump. And I mean, it's all manner of different things. They are special membership clubs, they are trophies, they're exclusive lists that you could get put on, even something that is akin to etching your name in a wall. No, not the one on the southern border, but supposedly a gold wall in Donald Trump's office. I mean, we looked into this. There's really zero that you get from making your $45 donation or $100 contribution, whatever it is. But a lot of people are being duped, in essence, thinking that they truly are going to be on some sort of exclusive special list that Donald Trump himself is going to see. And well, of course, that is not the case.
Yeah. And this especially bothers me because here at TYT, we've done donation drives sometimes, and we actually have a wall with people's names on it. It's possible to do that. The camera I'm looking into right now is the 241 Cruise camera. I know that because it's actually on there. We didn't just say that, we really did it. And so in theory, he could do some of these things. You've identified many membership lists and all that don't just appear to be true. Have you found evidence of any of these promotions that have actually occurred?
Yeah, well, of all the ones that are not true and are just figments of Donald Trump's campaign's imagination, where the participation trophy that your 9-year-old might get for soccer league or whatnot has more intrinsic value than these. There are some things that they do sell, and it's notable too because Donald Trump hawks T-shirts, the red MAGA hat, and a whole variety of other things, including Merry Christmas. There's a Let's Go Brandon wrapping paper, among other sundry things that you can buy. Now, when you buy them, that counts as a campaign donation. We did a story recently where we looked at what Donald Trump was selling these things for back a few years ago and compared them, similar products, to what's being sold today now that he's again a presidential candidate. It was very interesting to note, John, that the prices for many of these have gone up, in some cases, twofold. So yes, inflation is very real, but Trumpflation, at least in terms of the things that are coming from his campaign, is really, really, really real.
Interesting. Okay, I want to stay on this topic for just 1 second. Does it appear that they're raising the price on these things just because he's going to need more money, he's running for president again, or is this to make up for lower amounts of money being raised? My impression had been, and I don't study this the way you do, that he was still doing quite well in fundraising. What's the evidence in that area?
He has been doing quite well in fundraising. In fact, phenomenally, particularly since he wasn't a presidential candidate, a announced real bona fide presidential candidate until just a few weeks ago. So all that time between the time he left the White House and the time he launched his 2024 bid, he had several different political committees that he was raising money for. Now, these committees were paying for all sorts of different things, the rallies that he conducts around the country, legal fees for his many legal situations that he finds himself in, paying staff, etc. But he cannot use that money and directly transfer it into his new presidential campaign. I know we're getting a little technical here, but this is important because Donald Trump, again, has to basically start from scratch when it comes to raising money for his 2024 presidential campaign. So the idea of donor fatigue, it's real. And he's basically going to the same well in many cases that he's been going to for the past 2 years and saying, hey, give me another $50, give me another $100, give me another $1,000. And doing so in the context of what could potentially be a Republican primary that doesn't just feature Donald Trump, but could feature any manner of Republican candidates from Ron DeSantis to a list of about 15 others long. And that's something that's definitely weighing on Donald Trump's mind.
Speaking of going to the well, I think that you cite, and correct me if I'm wrong, people getting like 3 or 4 text messages or emails in a single day, specifically just for his donations.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a slow day. The fundraising is incessant, and look, fundraising is incessant across the board. We are picking on Donald Trump right now, but if you are on a bunch of lists for Democratic candidates or the DCCC or some of the other political committees, you too will be receiving an incredible number of messages, especially around an election. So it's kind of an idea of how do we get even more creative? How do we get more innovative to try to wring another couple of dollars out of people at a time when fundraising is so competitive? Money, is not everyone has, just thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to spend on politics. So it's an important consideration for all of these parties, but for Donald Trump, who really has been among the most aggressive in politics over the past several years, he is not letting off the gas by any means, and in fact, being even more aggressive today with the election for 2024 being, just about 2 years away right now.
Okay, I have a question, Dave. Sorry, Francesca here. I gotta jump in because I feel like you actually joined and become a cabinet member or a day one member or an Alliance Club member or an inner circle friend or an ultra MAGA member or the great MAGA king? Have you actually reached great MAGA king level, which is a level that they're hawking according to your article? And do you actually know? Maybe your name will be, inscribed on the bottom of one of his shoes.
Maybe so. So I have not personally, nor any journalists that I know, because it would necessitate making a campaign contribution, which is not something that we certainly are going to do as members of the press. However, I have talked to people.
Well, your press, the fake news, if you will.
Fake news media, correct. But at the same time too, I have talked to donors. Some of my colleagues have talked to donors and asked them, well, when you did make your donation, what happened? And from the reporting that we've done on this, we found from the people who have gone that route, well, they may be the great MAGA king in name, but they're the great MAGA king in name only. There is no crown. There is no scepter.
Is there like an e-card? Like there's nothing like this. This is like getting on like levels of getting onto like the worst flight ever, and now calling all of our MAGA kings to hold on to the landing gear of this rapidly falling airplane. Anyway, thanks, Dave. Sorry.
It definitely is something though that in all likelihood is going to, if nothing else, get people to open that email. And that's a really big deal. I mean, the open rates for emails are incredibly low to begin with. So you're dealing with, in essence, just bulk mass mailings here. And you're trying to get anything to get people to just click on that thing and open it up so that you can get them through the door and then, hopefully get them to donate too, if you're the one making the sales pitch.
Super final question though, just for context. Have you seen? We know that there's a lot about fundraising that everyone does. It's super annoying and all that. Do other people do this? Do they have the fake cards and the fake lists and the day one club and the Trump card? Like, is this just what everyone does and Trump's is a bit more ridiculous, or is this truly different from how others fundraise?
Well, this is the Trumpiest version of what we have seen in other places. I mean, one technique that is used by Republicans and Democrats alike, it's totally bogus, is a notion of like, all right, you donate $10 and it's gonna be matched 10 times and suddenly your $10 is gonna turn into $100. Guess what, folks? It doesn't. That is fake. It's not real. And some people might be asking, well, wait, why isn't that illegal? Why isn't somebody tamping down on it? And the fact of the matter is that unless it's the extreme of cases where you have been absolutely promised something of value and you don't get it, something of that sort, there's wide latitude that political campaigns have to fundraise. So sort of the truth in advertising aspect of this, unless Congress passes a law to basically stomp down on itself, which guess what, there's no rush to have that happen, then that's really the only way that's gonna be done. The Federal Election Commission, the Federal Trade Commission, they are basically hands off when it comes to this stuff. So there's been a lot of wide berth that the Democrats and the Republicans have gotten in doing that kind of stuff. But again, Donald Trump is sort of the the ultimate innovator in the here and now when it comes to this kind of advertising for fundraising.
Well, I want to thank you as always for joining us and exposing yourself to so many of those emails. I'm looking over some of the ones that Francesca didn't list, and it is ridiculous how many circles. And I would just love to have someone ask Trump, like, "Hey, so what's going on with the Trump Gold Club and the card and everything?" But anyway, all of Dave's work, as always, is available over at Insider. Everyone should definitely check it out. Dave, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, John.
Okay, everybody, we do have more news we're gonna get to. I think, Marisa, I don't remember where we landed on. I think we're gonna move on to the G block though. I think we'll move on to the G block. I'm gonna read a few comments while they set that up. And I will say that out of all of those weirdo things that he would do, I always love when they would word it like, "This is your last chance to get your name on the list for Trump to look at." The idea that like a grown adult would be like, "Yes, I think Don Jr. is gonna print out a list of names and Donald Trump at his desk is going to look over it and say, I don't see Bob." But it apparently works. They think that that actually would be convincing to their viewers. I will never understand it. Anyway.
There are also people who think that, invading the US Capitol would be a good idea in the context of electoral politics. But hey, to each their own, right?
That is true, Dave. That is true. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.